Hello, welcome to the 2020 debut of Everyday Experts. I am your host, Sir Joker, Poeta Gusan, Achille Joker, Achille, whatever you would like to call me. But you could just go by Joker. Today I have a very esteemed colleague who has done a lot of things in her life. Um, I believe she's only 21 and she's done a lot. She might not be 21. She might be 22. She's done a lot of things: teacher, educator, social worker, many admiral things, cancer survivor. We're going to get into all the stuff and discuss it all. She is somebody that I have known, ooh, I want to say it's probably been about 8, 9 years, which is funny. Um, and we'll tell the story about how we first met and how she hated me. And tried to blow my car up, but that's neither here nor there. She is one of the very sweetest people that I know. She is a good friend. She has accomplished so much. She has done a lot of things. Um, I call her Shredder Cha, but you could just call her Valarie Graf. Oh, hi.
Hey,
How you doing?
good, good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for coming on and gracing us with your presence and wonderfulness. Sis.
Happy to be here.
All right, so here we go. So we have a lot of stories. You're a story gal.
It's a lot going.
Um,
There's a lot of
yeah,
things.
th- there is a lot of things. I know you want to tell a story about the backdrop, which is a zombie mermaid. Um, I don't know if you had too many bad sandwiches or something that day, but you were in quite the mood. But before we get there, the first question I ask all my guests: if you could be a wolf, a werewolf, a zombie, a ghost, a vampire, a witch, or a serial killer or a zombie, which would you be and why?
Oh, I am a witch. That's easy. At first, I was gonna go with zombie because they don't die, but then I was like, I'm already a witch. Oh, gave me that option.
Oh, okay. Why are you already? What makes you a Wiccan?
Uh, I mean, all jokes aside, I don't know. My mom was always into like crystals and stuff growing up, and like she would use like the pendulum, like did all that like spiritual stuff, like I don't know, and I was like exposed to that at like 8. So like ever since I was introduced to that stuff, I was like, oh, I guess I'm a witch. So
Oh, if
early.
Jimmy was on here and one of my friends was here, he is of that same vein. So you are an avid warlock. I'm sorry, witchery person,
No, no, no.
but you would be a witch.
But I would be a witch, yeah. If I could choose out
Okay.
of all, I'd be like, oh, I already have experience in that. I'm a witch.
So
Yeah.
who's your favorite like on-screen witch or on TV or like witch that we would know of?
I mean, I guess my first thought goes to Coven in American Horror Story. Like, not any of
Oh,
the characters, but I mean, that was like a great season.
okay. So you really doing your research. Okay. I like it. That is, it's a little scary. I'm not gonna lie, but that's awesome. That you are a witch. So many things to go over. So many details. Um, I think one of the things that I first noticed about you after you hated me, unjustly. Let's just clarify that it was not anything I did.
It was
Unjustly. I would say that one of the words that kind of describes you for me is quirky.
agreed. Agreed.
We're gonna get into the shits in a second, but like, how did you kind of get that outlook, kind of that view on life, where you kind of just go with the flow, and you're like usually smiling and usually happy and all that stuff, and you just like let yourself be you?
Yeah. So, growing up, and you've mentioned this before, um, I had cancer when I was a kid. I was diagnosed with leukemia when I was 8 years old. So it kind of like forced me to like grow up quickly and kind of like
Mm-hmm.
work quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as like I really wasn't around kids like as often. Like I wasn't in school for like the entire year. Like I was like in the hospital, whatever. So it kind of just gave me this outlook on life to just like be positive, be motivated, play, and like be kind to others. So that's kind of where that came from. That like and quirky is like the overall picture, but like generally, it's I feel like people usually describe me as like bubbly, kind, outgoing, but like I'm weird, so I'm quirky. So
You're weird.
yeah,
Hmm. I don't know if I would say weird. I must say though, and
outlandish. No, I mean not normal,
mm,
not basic.
no, no, those are normal setting on a jar, and basic. You're not basic. I would say that you like your choices in costumes, and we'll get to the zombie mermaid because you wanted to. Um, my personal favorite. You came to my house for a Halloween party dressed as Mrs. Lippy
Hmm.
from Billy Madison, right?
People don't know who Miss Slippy is. They need to
No,
go
they
first.
do.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
so where does the inspiration for like the zombie mermaid, Mrs. Lippy? I believe you were weren't you one of the bear people? Like you had the short dress and I can't remember what it's called.
Hair Bear.
I might be wrong, huh?
Oh no, that wasn't like that was just a stupid like college uh and that wasn't a I do like the real colleges now. Like I'm not in college. Well, no, I just graduated college. What am I saying? Um but no, so okay, the zombie mermaid came from 13 going on 30, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my favorites growing up. Besides Billy Madison, of course. Um So I was like, oh, well, I am 13 going on 30, but like I'm really like 30, flirty, and dying. I'm not 30, flirty, and thriving, like closer to my grave than I am to my birth now, getting older. So that was kind of like where that theme came from. And my mom, so not only am I a witch, but I'm also a mermaid, in addition to
Okay.
you can bring
And
up
a
the unicorn
zombie.
and a zombie. But yeah, but like naturally without the makeup, like I'm a witch, I'm a unicorn, I'm a mermaid. So the mermaid story came from my mom told me that my birth story before I got the stalk and how babies are born was that my mom was at the ocean and she found me in the ocean. She saw that I was a mermaid. So my birth story is that I was a mermaid. So I kind of tied like the 30, flirty, and dying thing with my mermaid birth story, and I combined like a zombie mermaid theme. So that's where that makeup came from. And then Miss Slippy came because I love Billy Madison. And at the time, I was a teacher. I was a first grade teacher. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to be the wacky Miss Slippy because, face it, I am wacky. So therefore, I was Miss Slippy.
Um, your birth story was that you were a mermaid?
She found me the ocean and I was a mermaid. She found me as a mermaid. And she found my brother in the garbage can because he was Oscar the Grouch. Oh,
Really?
oh, I thought that was, oh, never mind.
Hmm?
I thought that was like a normal thing of birth story, but never mind.
No, I never heard of that before. It could be normal. I never got a birth story. My parents were like, you were born. The end. So we'll transition into the young the young mermaid story, the Little Mermaid. Um, so growing up, we spoke about it a little bit, and I know it's going to kind of overlap that you had cancer. So, how old were you when you had cancer? What happened? How did you react to it? Tell me all of the things.
Yeah, so before cancer, they always had those like sad St. Jude um commercials. And I remember I was looking at my mom and the commercial came on and I was like, Mom, like I'm never gonna have cancer, right? And she's like, no. Like that's like I'm not a parent, but but you're like that's like not a thought that comes in your mind as a parent. Like I'm going to have a child and then they're going to have cancer. Like no one envisioned that, right? So of course my
Right.
mom was like, no, right? So anyway, yeah, I guess then some time passed and then uh it was like a 6 month time frame and like figuring it out. I remember like I was visiting my parents in Florida and I just had like a really bad fever and then I took oh and I had an allergic reaction. So then I took Benadryl, is that the medicine reactions, whatever.
Uh huh.
And then that was kind of like the because like from there I was literally in the nurse's office like every day because I was just like I just had a fever, like I was always throwing up, I was always sick, like I wasn't coming to school, like I got really frail, really weak. There was even a point where the school nurse like kind of gave me an attitude. She was like, you can't come here every day. And I'm like, bro, like I'm like sick, like I can't. What do you mean? I'm like 8, like I don't know what to do. Anyways, it was really
And how
bad, like
old were you when she told you this?
8.
Oh, she told the 8-year-old you can't come here every day when you're sick. All right, that
I
makes
was
sense.
like I was abusing my nurse privileges, like if you look at me like no. So yes, then it got really bad where I couldn't, anytime I would fall I would break something. So like I broke my elbow, so I had a cast. I don't know if I told you the story, but I sprained my middle finger. So imagine being 8 years old, you sprain your middle finger and you have like a, not a cast, what is it called, a stent,
Splint.
splint on your middle finger, so you're walking around school
Look, I hurt my finger.
finger. Like imagine how much like people made fun of me. And then I remember like my family was over for Easter and I couldn't even walk. Like I was like in a wheelchair, right? And I remember my uncle, he was actually a massage therapist. So he was like doing like a little like he was like rubbing my back just to see if like anything seemed funky. And I remember overhearing him in the hallway telling my mom, he's like, yeah, like I think it's cancer. But you know, they had to do a bunch of tests and this and that. And I remember I was in a wheelchair. I'm at the hospital. My mom had to go into the office to hear the news. And the day that I was there, News 12 was filming. So I was like already like getting a lot of attention, you know, from the cameras in 1990. No, I'm just kidding. But so like News 12 was there. I'm like
Hmm.
always frail, sitting in the wheelchair or whatever. Like they wheel me in. My mom's hysterical. And then I just see the social worker look at me and he's like, you have cancer. And
Wait, hold on. You got the news at school?
no, I got the news at the hospital. But News 12 was filming at the hospital the day that I was there. I don't know, some like, hey, raise money for these kids or something. I don't know. But yeah, so then they wheel me in, they tell me the news, and you know, when they told me like, you know, like I'm 8, like I didn't really understand like what cancer was. But I just knew like you could die and it was bad. So that's that's what I understood.
Wow. So now you told me that all this stuff was kind of going on. Um, you were watching the St. Jude's commercial, and Mom saw it, and then you were like, "Oh no!" She's like, "No." You're like, "Oh, you lied to me, Mom. You jerk." Um, you said something that kind of resonated with you. That 3 kids um died in your unit, died from cancer, and you were like, "Oh wow, this is heavy."
Yeah. You know, so I spent a lot of time in the hospital because I think I don't even remember. It'd be like the first few weeks, it was like every day you're getting chemo, and then it ended up like breaking down like every other week. But then it's like if you got a fever, you would automatically be admitted to the hospital. So I was there like every day. Like that was like my hotel. Like that was like my second home, right? People have houses, you know, vacation homes. I had the hospital. But
Mm-hmm.
through like events and through being at the hospital, like you make friends, you make connections. But I was like so young, but like my mom, you know, she would socialize with the other parents,
Right.
and I really had these strong connections or relationships with these other kids. But yeah, at least I know 3 kids died throughout my 2.5 years that I was there. And, you know, probably more, um, but 3 in particular that I remember.
Wow. What was that like to see people that you were probably like playing with on Monday and Wednesday they were gone?
Honestly, I was just so sick. I like couldn't even like process it, or like ignore, like it's like not even like, oh, like I couldn't process it because I was keeping it inside of me. It's like I couldn't even acknowledge it because I was just so sick. Like you could,
Mm.
there wasn't even an opportunity to do that. I was just like, I don't know, throwing up and getting applesauce shoved up my throat. Pills, but yeah.
How much medicine do you think? And I know you didn't know then, but how much medicine do you think it was you were on? Like I know you were doing chemo and all that stuff. Do you have any like concept?
Um, so I know that I think like once a month I had to get a spinal tap, where they would
Mm.
like inject um uh chemotherapy up my spine against my will. No, they would have to like put me under um in order to do that. So that was intense. But then I would also get it intravenously through a Metaport. So instead of like continuously like injecting IVs through my veins and my wrist, that could be damaging to your nerve. So they insert what's called a Metaport, which is just like this little like trinket that they put inside you, and that's where they administer the medicine on pills. I had to take this like nasty mouthwash. That,
Mm.
oh, like the nurses, like they put on that I would spit that out. Where they taking it, but they knew some of them were like cool. Like some of them knew I was so upset that they just like let me spit it out because it was disgusting. It was like,
Oh.
but no, like a lot.
Mm.
Mhm.
So you used a term that I never heard before, and it was um, chemo brain, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
definition, it's a term commonly used to describe thinking and memory problems that a patient with cancer may have before, during, or after cancer treatment. Signs and symptoms of chemo brain include disorganized behavior or thinking, confusion, memory loss, and trouble concentrating, paying attention, learning, and making decisions. Sounds like ADHD. But what you were the one that used chemo brain. You said that you had chemo brain. Tell me about that.
I'm sorry. Repeat that.
Chemo
I'm
brain.
just kidding.
Chemo brain.
I'm kidding.
Chemo brain.
Yeah, no, just to give like a little context, before, you know, and I was so young, right? But like, it's like you know things, right? You know
Yeah.
your So, before chemo, like I was a different person, like cognitively, I was different. And I say that because when I was younger, before chemo, like I got like A's on everything. Like I was like an A plus student. And then after chemo, um, it was like very, very hard for me to get those grades. And I don't believe it was the last time. I believe it was like my process things. Um, so come to find out years later, they have this program called Survivor Forward, and it's an opportunity for kids that went through cancer treatment, birth to 18. I believe it's 3 or 5 years after treatment, they're allowed to get this like continuous follow up to see if there's any like latent effects from any of the medications that they were on. And then come to find out, one of the medications that I was on, specifically the ones that go through my spine, actually erodes the membrane around the connection between your, I'm going to get this anatomy wrong, the neurons, like the synapse that connects your neurons. It actually like
Mm-hmm.
the membrane, um, causing you to like not be able to process things because you literally can't get like one idea from another um, in a swift amount of time. So yeah, because of that, it really is hard for me to like process information. Like I have to sit there and like concentrate. I have to sit there and concentrate like before I respond to something. Like, and I'm not just talking like in like a high tense environment. Like it could be like a normal conversation and I'm like confused. And it's not just like in conversation, it's not just like in reading. It's also like I lose. I I'm a klutz. Um, yeah, so it's like really hard because it's been like lifelong. Um,
Mm.
like I'm a functioning adult. But yeah, it's very similar to ADHD. It's literally like caused by. It's almost like medication. It's almost like ADHD caused by medication.
Mm. So we're talking about leukemia, and leukemia is a cancer of blood forming tissues, including bone marrow. Many types exist, such as acute lymphoblastic leukemia, acute myeloid leukemia, and chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Um, just so people understand what we're talking about. Has that, like those experiences, painted you? Help? Do you think people perceive you in a certain way because of your chemo brain, and they're just assuming you're something that you're not?
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've gotten like feedback from family, friends, strangers, like uh, does she know what's going on? I've gotten like comments before. So yeah, like and it's like family friends like they know why I'm the way that I am, but like a lot of times like yeah, like strangers like they might be confused. Um, but I once someone gets to like understand me, then they're like, oh, okay, never mind, she's with it. She just she takes a second. She takes a second.
So you said a lot of, so you have 43 degrees, because you love school. Um, you told me that you found that you started to lean towards social work and helping people because of kind of your experiences with people dealing with you during cancer.
Yeah.
So please expound on that.
So I'll never forget. My uncle told me like later on in life. I think he took me to like my first treatment or like assisted my mom at the first treatment, like one of like my treatments, and I'm sitting there and there's other kids around, and I say something to the degree of, I can't believe other kids have to go through this too. Like acknowledging them and not acknowledging myself. Like not
Mm.
like for me, but like I feel so bad for them. Like why do they have to go through this? Um and then also, everyone was like so helpful, so inspirational where I worked, but I definitely had a close relationship with the social worker there.
Mm-hmm.
Um at not just like my beck and call, but like also my mom's beck and call. So like I really admired what he did. And like literally what he did is he was like a social support. Like he was like an emotional crutch. Like we were able to just like go to him and cry and go to him and complain and go to him and smile and make jokes. Like he was like there for all of it. Um so yeah, that's kind of like what led me into the helping profession. So originally when I was in college, I was like, I'm going to be one of three things. So if the first one doesn't work out, it's going to be the next thing. So first, it was going to be a nurse. Second, it was going to be a social worker. And third, it was going to be a math teacher. Like, I love math. I don't know how to do math anymore, but in high school, loved math, loved calc. Um, so when I went to college, I was the first person in my family to go to college. So had like no background information on how college worked. I entered in as a first year nursing student. So it was like really hard. Like the social scene was completely different. The academics were completely different. So I didn't fail anatomy, but I did not pass a nursing standard. After that, like never mind, I'll just be a worker. So then I kind of like went into that.
Um, you ever think about trying again to be a nurse? I
Like
know
a
you have 14 jobs, but have you ever thought about going back to be a nurse?
no, like after knowing like what they have to do, like bodily fluids, no thanks.
What? What role did your parents play in all of this? I know your mom kind of cast as a film of doom with the cancer prediction and accidentally. What role do you think your parents played in kind of like how you got to where you are?
Yeah, so I just feel like my mom was always like a super social person, like super active. Like I just was always exposed to being social and like I mean like literally I remember like my mom, she would work like really long hours. And it's like, of course, like all I want is mom's attention. And anytime that I would like call out for her in my room, she's upstairs, like on the landline, like calling all her girlfriends or whatever. So then it was funny because when I was in middle school, I thought that was like a normal thing to do. So then once I got my landline, I'm like dialing everyone's number after school, just say, hey, what's up? But like no one wanted to talk. Like no one wants to sit there and gossip. Like I thought that was normal, but like, anyways, like yeah, like just like she taught me like be social, be kind. And then my dad, like he was always like down for fun. Like he was always like, yeah, let's go to 7-Eleven. Like, took me to like all my sport games. Um, took us to the park and stuff like that. So like yeah, my dad was always like like fun, like go on adventure kind of a guy. So that's how like they kind of like shaped me to be that like social adventurous kind of person.
Okay. So now you got a lot of shit. So we're gonna transition into how you kind of love to travel, but before you love to travel, you became a social worker. So tell me about social work school, how you found that, and where that kind of led you.
So I hadn't left the country before I was 21 years old. Like some people, they're like, yeah, I go on spring break in college, or like I go, on vacation with my family in the Bahamas. Like, no, like we were not doing any of that. We didn't have the money to do that, the resources.
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave the country. Like, this is something that I want to do. And my grandmother recently passed away, and I posted about this too. I remember my grandmother and my grandfather, they had a globe, and they would always like point to where they had been on the globe. And I was like always inspired. I'm like, wait, I want to go to places like around the globe too. Like they've been to Ireland, Denver, Colorado, like all these places.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go and do those things. So when I was in college, I totally took the opportunity to go abroad. Um, so I went to go work in an orphanage in Peru when I was 21, and Peru is lit. Peru is cool. That and Czech Republic are like two of my favorite places I've ever been to. We'll talk about Czech later after. So I was kind of that, and then I was in social work school at Stony Brook, and I did a independent study in Costa Rica where I went to this social immersion program where I went to stay with the host family, and I had like Spanish class during the day. Do not ask me to speak Spanish because I will not, because I don't remember. I know like the same three things. But anyways, that was in Costa Rica. And then after that, I did like a bit of traveling here and there. And when we met, right? I
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm gonna go visit my friend in Czech Republic, and everyone's like, okay, here she goes again, right? And it just so happened that when I was over there, it was my third. No, I'm just kidding. I was gonna say 13th. That's not true. It was my 28th birthday, and
Mm-hmm.
the girl, dorm head at the school that my friend worked at, happened to quit that same week that I was there. They're like, oh, you're here. Do you want to interview? And I was like, no, on holiday. I'm not trying to interview, but they want to interview, and then they're like, "Oh, like to offer you the job," and I was like, "No, no, no, I'm a social worker. No, like I'm not going to take on the job." But it just so happened that I had just finished my clinical hours at our place of work, so I
Mm-hmm.
finished my clinical hours, so I really had like no reason to stay back. I already did my what I had to do for my credentials, and yeah, then I went to Europe.
All right, so let's clear the air because you keep falsely accusing me of taking your job, right? So when me and Valarie first met, she apparently, and she told me like 3 days. It was hilarious because you told me like a week later. How Valarie? So Valarie doesn't have much of a filter with emotion. Like when she talks about, she's talking about everything. So I started at one of the agencies in New York, and she was already there. One of my first few days, I go in and I met her, and I was just like, "Whoa, why is this chick giving me an attitude?" And this is my first time meeting her. We're in a meeting, and she was so standoffish and so like, and so Valarie, you can tell him how much what happened.
All right. So I was working in a different department, but at the time, and well, still, our departments they collaborate together. So I wanted to transition into the other department. However, because of application and bureaucracy and whatever, I didn't get in right away because they had said they had already hired someone. But then they're like, "Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. There's gonna be another opening. There's gonna," and I'm like, "I want to get out now." So then I caught word of who this person was, and then I caught word that this person was going to be in our collaborative meeting. So I was like, oh, here's the person that took my job. So I took the opportunity when we met, and the very first thing I said to you after the meeting, of course, and I'm real professional, was we got beef.
Yep. And she told me, she then proceeded to tell me that I took her job. And I was like, that's not what happened because I didn't know any of this. So it was it was funny because it was actually something that, because was that when we sat next to each other or did we sit because when you joined us, you were like a couple of weeks behind me, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was like a month behind. Like, yeah, it was pretty quick.
So I think at that point, I don't know if we sat next to each other and we were talking about the meeting, and I was just like, oh, all right, that's why you're being like that. So it was funny because it was actually the thing that probably kind of sparked our friendship and kind of like the random discussions that we had sitting next to each other. Um, so and I know for you, when I first started in the field 143 years ago, and I got my degree, I didn't have a desire to work with people on the spectrum, people with developmental disabilities, any of that. I was like, oh, I had no desire to kind of go down that road. And you said something similar. You didn't really want to work with people with disabilities and all of that. So tell me about how you got into that.
Yeah, like when I was in college, going for social work, obviously. Um, it was after college, it was before social work that I field. Learning about all these different populations that I could possibly work with, and I was like, I want to work with at-risk youth, or I want to work with um, chronic children with chronic illness, and then reality hits, like you're about to graduate, and you're like, well, I don't have a job, so I need to just like take whatever I can get. Like I was still waitressing after
Mm-hmm.
college, literally. Like I'm so embarrassed. Like after college, like my other coworkers, they were like, wait, so why don't you get a job in your field? Like, it's not that easy, whatever. So, no, I was just like aimlessly applying on Indeed. And then this job opened up. At the time, they didn't call it direct support professional. They called it life training specialist. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to like train people in life. You know? I had no idea. And yeah, that's kind of like where, like how I fell into the field, because I didn't have any experience or exposure to people with developmental disabilities. And now I am like so obsessed. I love everybody. But and like everyone is so capable of anything that they want to achieve, and like I learned a lot of that through the field. But yeah, that's how I got into the field, was Indeed and clicking a lot of buttons.
I love it. I would say I have a similar thing for me where you don't appreciate working with people until you work with people who appreciate everything that you do for them. So working with people with developmental disability, like whatever you think about it, you have to experience. Especially, I think if you're going to be any kind of social worker therapist, I think you should kind of cover all the bases. You should be an OMH and you should be an OPWDD, because that exposure to both worlds brings balance to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, so we worked together, and then the Chas were born. Um, and that's why my thing says Joker Cha. Valarie was Shredder Cha because Valarie was on this health kick, and she was always eating good and doing all this stuff and working out, and she'd be like doing curls underneath it, like I work out underneath the. Oh, I'm good. What are you doing? I pick stuff up, I move it, and I put it down. But Valarie was on a very big health kick. I'm not saying that you aren't now, but she was like cut, and I was like, "Why are you so shredded?" She goes, "What are you talking about?" So that's how I started calling her Shredder Child, because she was always like eating healthy and working out and walking and all of this stuff that was awesome. I was very proud of her. So the chop pot, we used to have a bunch of us, me, you, Valarie, your Valarie, me, you, Christine, Jackie. Was there anybody else? It was really
No,
us four.
yeah.
It was us four. We used to talk, and
Uh,
our our amazing supervisor at the time would tell us, "You got to stop doing what, Val? You do it so good.
cha 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 cha.
Too much cha cha, too much talking." So we started calling ourselves the cha chas because we used to always chat, and it wasn't like it was a lot of paperwork, so you could sit there and work and talk, but
Easily, easily. The paperwork was getting done. Okay, full disclosure, our paperwork was getting done. We were doing our jobs, but come on.
yeah, and that job was one. Once you got a rhythm, you were good. It wasn't. It was a lot of work, but it wasn't like hard work because it was more like wash, rinse, repeat. Um, so then I don't remember who left first. I don't remember if I left first or you left first. I want to say you left first.
I think I left first.
Yeah, I think you left first because I had left and I came back. Um,
Hmm.
and oh, that's what happened. I took over your houses from you.
Oh, my friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I had taken over her houses. So it was kind of like I was taking her job again, but it was like that's the story of my life. Anyway,
I was just.
uh-huh. I know. We got beef. I mean, I was like, what is going on? It was like 33 for me, and she had beef. So then you did something that we talked about. I want to say you went to the Czech Republic. Don't quote me. I don't remember 100%. I know you went to Europe.
Yeah.
Um, and this is when, if I look at your life from an outsider, this was when you had one of like the bigger turning points in your life where you like really found yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
So what did it mean? Like, so tell me about the job and tell me like where you were and kind of start us there. What it meant to you.
So just like imagine any type of scenery painting you've ever seen, like whether it's like in a forest or like in a mountain or in the ocean, and you're able to just live in that scene for 6 months and do absolutely nothing and worry about absolutely nothing. That was my 6 month experience in Europe. It was
Mm.
like literally what I needed, like a break from like the day to day New York hustle, like the back and forth and like the 20, like, and you know me in the 20 jobs, I balance it differently. Um, so yeah, I literally was literally living in a fairy tale. So the school that I worked at was an English speaking international high school. And I was so essentially like it was like a grade for a high school. Um, and it was in this like small, low populated in the middle of a valley, um, old, beautiful buildings. And I didn't have anything to do. The only thing I had to do was my job. And I had like all the time in the world to focus on myself. And I never, ever, ever had an opportunity to do that before because I was always so focused. Like, I'm at every event, I'm at everything. So, like, for me to say no to like someone's like, I don't know, bar mitzvah or like baptism or like
Wedding.
a wedding, baby shower, gender reveal. Like I'm always there, right? But like I didn't have to do any of that. Like I could just like be myself and like focus on myself and like find myself and like love myself, which like I never um had done before. So yeah, it was just like a real like awakening experience. And like my favorite story coming back from all of that bliss was I go to TJ like literally 5 days after to see a woman is trying to turn a $10 pot, right? And then the cashier is like, but you don't have the receipt. And she's like, I just bought this the other day. And she's like, but you don't have the receipt. She's like, I just got this. You gotta like let me exchange it or return it. And it was just like, why am I back here dealing with all of this BS? Like, girl, be accountable for your pot get at TJ Maxx. Like I just got back from here, but I want to be like hearing all of this complaining. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of like taught me to like tune out that like negativity, like all of that BS, because I don't got to deal with people at TJ Maxx and pops anymore.
What was it like to put you first? What was it like to say, you had cancer, you didn't care about you. You watched people going through stuff and you felt bad. And you had, all the stuff, all this turmoil in your childhood. You didn't care about it. You were like, oh, I'm worried about everybody else. What was it like to have to sit down in front of the mirror and really like dig in?
It was like honestly so fun. Like I could actually have fun and I could actually enjoy myself and like actually like live in the moment. Like all that cheese BS here on like um talk shows and TikToks and all like it's true. It's so true.
Hmm?
Like I live in the moment. Like living in the moment like allows you to have fun. Like I might have like I was on the outside, but like it really wasn't. It was like almost like forced fun. But
Mm.
now it's like natural fun.
Is it still fun for you to put you first, or do you find that that's a struggle still?
No, I mean it is a struggle still. I mean, time has lapsed since then. It's been like 5 years or so since. Um, so that like full like honeymoon phase after I came back, like obviously has dwindled. So I kind of like struggle with this, like, oh, I'm like letting myself go again, and I gotta like bring myself back in. But like
Mm.
obviously, like, look, things are gonna happen. I'm gonna let myself go. Like, whatever. I get it. Like, it makes sense. But the most important part is that like I'm able to like reflect back on that and pull myself back. Like, I pull myself back before it gets me. But like now, like I, yeah.
Mm. Mm. That's powerful. Um, what did the girl? It was all girls, right? Don't. I'm not wrong.
It was co-ed. It was co-ed.
Oh, it was co-ed. Okay. I remember you telling me about some of the kids. Who was there? Any one person that you feel like One was Valarie, Euro version, and two had a and somebody else that might have had a big impact on you.
Um, yeah. So my coworker, I don't know if I know her name, but she was from Ireland, and she was like me, but like Irish. She was like Irish Valarie. So it was so nice because like when I was over there, like I did make friends with like everyone, obviously, but like I didn't really have that like person to attach myself onto my like whole like new environment. So it was like nice to have that like person that kind of just like connected with you in that like more like personal way.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, like no, I did have that with her. Um, and then the other person was like who like impacted me there.
Was there a kid that you felt impacted you? Not a staff.
Um, I mean, a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them did like in different ways. Um, but like what was really inspirational is that these two girls, that I knew from over there, they were to get their what is it called visa so they could study in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Like maintained our relationship overseas. And I was able to actually attend like one of the girls' graduations, and like now she's working in New York City. Um, other ones up in Massachusetts, and like she graduated well. So it was just like nice to see that like these like young kids like achieving their dreams and everything like that.
What about you achieving your dream?
Oh,
That
I'm living my best life.
was it. Now, I'm not gonna put your business out, but I know you were involved with a person at one point there. What was it like to have that connection, then have to find a new connection because that connection was gone?
Yeah, so like literally, yeah, so I met someone over there, and that person like was like red flag list. Like there was like no red flag. It was like only green flags. And it's like I'm not used to like dating anyone that has no like it's usually just like all red. So like that person kind of like helped me like navigate like the dating scene like thereafter, where I could literally like just like check these people off, like nope, you're not gonna work, nope, you're not gonna work. So I'm like more like cautious and mindful as I choose like invite into my life, like after I wouldn't say I lost that connection with that person, it's just didn't work out for one reason or another, like literally like
Right.
over. um, but yeah, no, that person definitely like helped me pick and choose like who is like who deserves to be in my life.
Wow, that's what's up. Congratulations. Coming back. You were just in Shangri-La, you were in Nirvana, you were in the best part of your life. You were overseas chilling, and you come back here. What was the adjustment like? What was it like? I know the answers, but finding a place to live and, readjusting to fast New York, which is faster than the rest of the United States, but fast New York.
Yeah, no, it was a lot. It was a lot of like change. I just like I have to like, and I like I said, I have to keep like reminding myself to like keep myself in that like positive, being in the moment headspace, like ignoring all the noise. And I don't mean like literal noise, like it could be like people negativity, um like whatever it is. uh, I was living in Long Island for a period of time because my job at the time that I could like live in like one of the houses that they were renovating. So like that was awesome. So like that was like an easy transition. And then yeah, moved back over here to Queens. Mm,
Yeah, great.
yeah.
Um, so now you went through a bunch of. I'm not saying I shouldn't say a bunch. you went through a couple of different job and transitions in life and moving around, bouncing back and forth. You ended up back in Queens, like you said. Then you got a job, where you got to fulfill your third passion, which is weird. Like, how many people have goals when they're 9 or 10? You tried nursing, um, you became a social worker, and then you said the third thing is you want to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. This newest like leg of your life, this newest transition.
Yeah, so after working in Czech Republic and like working in education, I was like, well, yeah, like I definitely want to get into the education field because like every social worker's dream is to either work in a hospital or work um in a school. And I was like, well, I don't want to go back to the hospital because I spent too much time there. I was like, I want to work in a school, like, have a steady, like good, like job, like career path. Um, so once again, like applying aimlessly on Indeed. Like I just wanted to get into the education system. So I got an opportunity to work at a charter school in the Bronx, and they hire social workers to be teachers. So I was what they called like a teacher social worker. My first primary role was a teacher. Like I was literally teaching curriculum. My kids to at the deal is that you have to well. So I'm also a certified pre-K through second grade teacher.
That sounds so much fun. What? So there's a lot of parallels between teaching and social work. A lot of what we do is teaching people how to kind of function in their lives. What's the biggest difference between being a teacher and a social worker for you, and how does it feel a different void for you, a different like path in your life?
Lesson plans is the difference. Lesson plans.
Okay, what about them?
No, like there's definitely a lot more. Like teaching is so difficult because like you're dealing with these kids' lives in addition to on grades and grading and lesson plans. And not to say that like social workers don't have that pressure either. But like I feel like they're just like respected differently. I feel like social workers are more respected than teachers, and it's unfortunate. And teachers should be recognized. Teachers should be uplifted because they put in like so much like blood, sweat, and tears into their kids. Like they do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, but so, all jokes aside, like yeah, lesson plans is the difference, and like but like as far as like similarity, I know I asked for similarity, but like it's like being a social worker, I was like I have to find like for them, like how is this person going to achieve like the goals that they want to achieve. So like when I went into teaching, it was like kind of similar, where it was like I literally like found in every student like something that like would help them to like a more successful.
Go ahead, girl. um as you can see, you have a cheerleader in the chat. Cena is a teacher.
Oh,
um so she's
good.
over here giving spirit fingers and jumping up and down. One more for people in the back. Yes. Cena, I don't know if she just took a test or had to take a test, but she just got credentialed because the school was a bunch of jerk faces. But, that's neither here nor there. Um, you told me that you have to kind of find ways to relate to your students. Hold on one second. I want to see what. Thank you, Robert. Um, you have to find ways to relate to your students.
Yeah.
So, what is something, and I know you're talking about kind of like detention and all that stuff. What's one? How do you do that? Especially with you have little. You have what?
Middle school. Middle
You have
school.
middle school. Oh, you have middle school kids. Oh, they are amazing.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
wonderful. How do you find relating to them, or how do you go about it?
Yeah. So like the biggest struggle with middle school, and it's not just middle school, it's everyone, all ages, right? It's about being like accountable for your actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
They really struggle a lot with that, like, but I didn't do it, but he did that, and like it's not my fault, right? Like that's the conversation all the time. And like I said, it's not just the middle schoolers, it's us adults as well. We're always trying to find ways to like get out of something that we could have avoided or started.
All right.
Um, so I always give them this example, and because they see me, I'm Graf, like I'm professional, like and so when I tell them, like, well, I got detention when I was in high school, and like they don't believe me, and I know, Akila, you don't believe me either, but I got detention one time, okay, and so I tell them this story, which is a factual story, that I was like, but you know what, guys, like it wasn't my fault because my to school and then don't, because they picked me up late and they came to the I'm not, and then they're like, yeah, it wasn't your fault. And I'm like, hmm, can we think of ways how it is my fault? Like how it could have been my fault?
Mm-hmm.
They can't think of it. They cannot think of it. And obviously, then I have to explain to them. I'm like, I chose to drive with them to school. Like I chose to drive with them to school, even though I know every morning they want to get Dunkin' Donuts. And because I was consistently late, I got detention. So it's always like so funny whenever I tell them that story because they're like, oh, wow, my choices affect my consequences. Yeah, so it's fun.
Yeah. All right. So that was an hour of talking all about the business. But as we talked about, there is the quirky side. Um,
Um,
um, so this isn't a direct question about your current situation, but what do you find different about being on the market in 2023 as opposed to even like 5, 6 years ago?
I feel like it's a little more fast paced now.
Okay.
Um, there's like so many apps and stuff like that. Like it's like more confusing now.
Ooh, that's a good one. Confusing. Okay.
And also people don't know how to talk to each other anymore because like technology is like being used way more now than it was before. Like there wasn't
Mm,
as to be on your phone before as there is now. I mean, there's never an excuse. Like if you're with someone, like you're not on your phone, but like they're on their
always.
yeah.
Um, I bet you that's seen. Let's see. So, so let me ask, as a social worker and a person that loves to connect with people, how do you find that not being able to connect with people because the world doesn't dictate that that's how we should do things?
Um, like in in a relationship, like
Mm-hmm.
friendship, dating, like whatever. Like I'll do like the share kind of like even like with like friends or like family or like whatever the situation is, where it's like I'll literally like stare at them, like put the phone away, like, and also not just like whatever it is that's going on in here, like we're here, let's talk, let's connect, otherwise I could just go home, like um so like that like conscious effort to like do it in like a polite, like appropriate way.
Mm. Now for the loaded question. So I always think that it's a different experience for men than women. That's just me, being a man, not a woman. And we've touched on this without going into details. Do you find it's easier or more of a challenge because you are a pretty woman to date?
uh
She didn't know this question was coming.
no, I didn't know. So it's more of a challenge because I think people are like caught off guard when they're like, oh wait, like you're serious. And I don't mean like serious really, but just like it's like you're a serious person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they get confused real quick.
So I asked that question because it kind of circles back to you saying when we talk about the quirkiness and like how you are. You said weird. I like that. Silly, but quirky. Do you find it harder to be yourself than before or easier?
I find it like easier to be myself now. Just because like I'm older, I'm wiser, like I'm more mature, like I have more experience. So it's like if you don't just go, don't I don't have to like pursue this if this is not if you're not then I don't know what's wrong with you.
Mm. Okay, shit, girl, go ahead. So, um, I did tell you I was going to ask this question. Now, you had leukemia when you were 8.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about, let's say, heaven forbid, you had the diagnosis at 18 or 28 or got it today, how do you think you would react differently to it? How do you think it would impact you differently?
I mean, it would just impact me differently because I would be an entirely different person. Like honestly, like it was like a blessing and a curse to have it. It was a curse because I have ongoing chemo, but
Mm-hmm.
it's because like it just made me into the person that I am today. So how would I react? Like you know, I don't know, but like hey, with that back history, I would just be a much better advocate for myself.
I believe the words you said were it would keep you motivated and grounded, and I think it does keep you motivated and grounded. Um, how much of being in Europe contributed to that? You finding kind of maybe refining that grounding.
Um, honestly, like Bob Marley says, like don't worry about a thing. It's just like so true. Like, before I went to Europe, like I was just always worried about everything. I was worried about everybody and everything. And it's like I just like need to like let things go. Let things go more.
Mm,
And I let things go because things are happening, but like let be.
mm, okay. Hello. Did I freeze? Uh-oh.
You're not frozen.
Oh, Valerie's frozen.
Oh, is it me? Oh.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
You're
it's
back.
okay.
You're back.
Okay. Wait.
All right. um, hold on one second. So, this is what we're gonna now that we've put out your application for the world to see. um,
You told me this was coming.
huh?
We got beef. If we didn't have beef before, we have beef now.
There's no beef. Um, you said that to go into some nerd stuff. I asked you, do you prefer Marvel or DC? And you said neither. And I thought that was a very
Yeah.
interesting answer. You did say that you do like one part of Marvel.
X-Men, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why do you like the X-Men?
Because when I was in fifth grade, that was when the movie theater in my town opened, and my mom was convinced that the showing that we went to was the matinee, so she was like demanding the discounted rate. So that really stuck in my head. And then we went to the movie, and it was a really good movie. So that must have been like 2005 whenever I went out with what's her name? Halle Berry? That one.
Oh yes. The X-Men.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Rogue,
okay.
Anna Paquin.
Yeah, look, okay.
Love her. Love Rogue. Love Rogue. She's like my favorite.
Rogue's your favorite. Why is Rogue your favorite? I
She's just
mean, it's kind of.
wild. She's like, she just like, she can take on everyone's powers. And I feel like I'm kind of like Rogue. Like, I feel like I am her. Like, I resonate with her because I kind of like take on all these different roles. Like, I do all these different things and like it exhausts me, kind of like how it exhausts her.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's draining to her. I like that. Let's stay on the Rogue thing. But when we talk about Rogue, if you are Rogue, which power are you glad you took on, and which one do you hate that you took on?
Um, I'm glad that I took on the role of
A
working in a
teacher.
school. I
I knew
really
you
like
were gonna say that.
Yeah, I really like working in school. I really like the school that I work at. And it's new and I really appreciate it. But the power that I dislike the most is caring too much.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. 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 The curse of the eternal nice person. I love it.
Yeah.
We talked about also, and speaking of Anna Paquin and Rogue, Rogue was very standoffish with the other X-Men and other human and other people. Um, that's not you though.
Yeah, but like I feel like I put myself in like not like a dangerous way, but like I put myself in situations like I don't always want to be in. Like all of a sudden, like I'll be like a little social and then like I'll be a little more social. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all these friends, like all these people that want to talk to me. And like I feel like I actually am more introverted than I am like socially. Um
You think you're more introverted than extroverted?
yeah. Like it's like I'm extroverted, but like I feel more introverted. I'm quirky. I don't know.
How does that work when you? I'm sorry. I shouldn't. When you're more extroverted, but you feel more introverted.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that work?
Like I don't think I'm perceived as introverted, but like I just feel more like introverted.
Okay.
Yeah. Like people perceive me as like social. I'm a social butterfly. I talk. I'm from Long Island. I got an accent. Whatever. Like, but
New
really
York, gang, gang, gang. That's all
yeah,
I gotta say.
I'm just very, yeah. I feel more
Hmm.
introverted. I feel more shy.
Um, what draws you to other humans?
I just really want to know their story. Like I want to know like how people got to where they are. I want to know like what like inspires them. I want to know like what their interests are. Like I'm just like so curious about like learning about other people.
Okay. Um, our last topic, because you love pop culture. We're gonna talk about some pop culture. Did you watch Wednesday yet?
No.
What happened? Oh my god.
I don't know. And I know I'm like, I'm a witch. And then there's like Wednesday and I love the Addams Family, but I swear I probably put the first episode 3 times and every time I can't. I don't know. I can't do it for some reason.
You gotta get past it.
All right.
It's good. I think it's good. But we did talk about you viewing her as neurodivergent and not as just like an outcast. And you were like, oh, I like that. um, what was your favorite movie from last year?
But movies came out last year.
Oh Lord, what was the last movie you saw?
Like in the movie theater? You didn't tell me this question.
I know.
Well, can I just say like a movie that I like that's more recent?
Of course you can. It's your
Okay.
interview.
I love Moonlight. That is like my favorite movie.
Oh my god. Moonlight is terrible. Oh, okay.
That
Oh my
movie
god.
is amazing.
Oh my God.
Anyone that doesn't like Moonlight, like you have to watch it again. You have to be uninterrupted.
I can't watch it. I can't finish it. I
What?
fall asleep every
Oh
time.
my gosh, I cry every time.
Are we talking about the TV series? The
No,
Disney Plus?
the movie Moonlight.
Oh, okay. All right. Whew.
Wait, did you see Moonlight the movie?
Is that with the black kids?
Yeah, and they're like in South Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So tell me about it. You cry? You actually cry?
Yeah, no, it's just like it's a really good movie about this like man like in he's a child in South Florida and he is like in an unstable home environment and then there's like the pressure of school and he's really dealing with like sexual identity issues and like he kind of just like conforms to society and then ends up like making poor decisions later on in life and then like towards the end he's able to just like be himself.
So
it's
it's your story.
Huh?
So it's your story, huh? At the end you're able to just be yourself.
Yeah, I'm just myself. Yeah.
What was your favorite song from that you remember from last year?
Billie Eilish. Is that from last year? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
But then I was upset that it was Nori's song.
Oh.
I realized
Yeah.
until like literally a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. Oh, you just realized that? Oh, Lord.
And that's like my favorite song, but
Taylor Swift or Beyonce? You could go to one concert. Only pick one.
Taylor Swift.
Over Beyonce?
I only like Destiny's Child and Naughty Girl, and that's it. I don't like anything else.
She's bringing all the smoke today. Favorite Taylor Swift song?
Here's the thing about Taylor Swift is that like I'm not like a cult follower of Taylor Swift, but I just like appreciate Taylor Swift and who she is. Like I just feel like she's just like her authentic self. Like everyone says like, oh, like she dates all this guy and blah, blah. Like she's just a girl.
And then she writes albums about him. Yeah.
Huh?
And then she writes albums about them.
Yeah, it's amazing. She's just writing about I love it.
Why is that amazing?
Because she's just being herself and she doesn't care.
Oh my God. All right. So this question is gonna be this one you're not gonna like. Hold on. Taylor's a mood. Yes, Taylor's a mood. If you wrote a song, right? What would the name of the song be? I'm sorry, if you and Taylor Swift wrote a song, so we give you better context without going too far, but you know what I'm talking about. What would that song be about?
Wait, what would the title be?
Yes.
It would be Sunshine.
Why Sunshine?
And it would just be about like looking up, like look up outside, like go look at the stars, like go, just like embrace the day, embrace your time, carpe diem.
Sunshine. Okay. Oh boy, that's different. I don't even know what to ask you anymore because you said Taylor Swift is okay.
She's a vibe.
Do you like hold on, I can't think of his name. Bruno Mars.
No. Who's that? I'm kidding. No.
You don't like Bruno Mars? Why not?
I never liked his songs. They always felt
none of them.
No, I couldn't even tell you a song he sings.
Yes, you can.
You're Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that song.
You don't like any of Bruno Mars' songs? Wow.
No.
All right. No. Favorite male singer?
Oh, Usher.
Favorite song by Usher?
My Way.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God. No. Nice and Slow. Sorry. No.
Okay.
Yes.
Nasty. So let me ask you a question. A Usher song you would want to make a baby to.
I plead the fifth.
What do you mean you plead the fifth?
I can't answer that question.
The first question, I think you're the first. That's the first question. You're the first person on the history of the show to not answer a question.
I watch Bravo. That's what they do when they don't want to answer a question.
That's fine. All right. So, if you could bring one of your friends onto the show and interview them, who would you want to bring on?
Yamina, where
Nina.
are you? Are you here?
No, Cena, you can't plead the fifth. I knew she wasn't going to answer it. It wasn't a fair question. But she already said nice and slow, so.
There's context.
Uh-huh.
I remember being little, like I was like probably like in middle school when that song came out, and then like it was like on MTV with my friends, and we thought it was like so cool to like watch the song. And he's like in the car. R.I.P. MTV, but yeah. Well, it's still on, but not the music videos.
Oh my. Okay. Favorite current artist?
Like new?
New.
Oh my! I have to look at my Spotify. I don't know.
That's okay.
Hold on. Sorry.
I don't know, Cena. I don't know if we're gonna get the spill of tea.
Love her.
I love that you're having a whole conversation.
Yeah. Oh, I'm off my Spotify. Yeah, I think she's great.
Who? Who? I didn't hear you say. Who you said?
Oh, sorry. Cardi B. I love Cardi B.
Oh, favorite.
Oh, you couldn't hear me. No, I was not talking to myself. I was talking to you. I mean, I do that sometimes. But.
Favorite Cardi B song?
Forever. It's from like her first album.
Forever. Okay. If you were gonna make a rap song, now listen, a rap song, who would you want to rap with you?
Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I mean, Drake.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not like a huge Drake fan. I feel like he has he has a good sound. Like, yeah.
Oh, for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it would be like a good song. Like, yeah.
Oh, you and Drake.
Yeah.
Without Drake, as much more you.
No, me and Drake, like it would be a good pair.
Leonard Kim said, "Okay." I love it. All right. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity, since we have probably about 5 minutes left. You can ask me questions now.
Oh, wait, I didn't write that down in my notes. Oh,
okay, good.
Paper.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have to ask any questions then. All right, so go ahead.
What made you want to start this podcast?
Oh, because I think that everybody has hidden talents and secrets, and I think everybody's an expert at something, but I don't think they acknowledge that they are.
What am I an expert at?
You? You mean besides social work and teaching, and besides being a nice person, and besides being a good friend?
Yeah.
I think you're an expert. I actually think that you're an expert at being present for others.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, your favorite R&B song.
Favorite R&B song?
What is going on with my phone?
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I didn't freeze time. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? All right.
What's going on?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rob?
I can hear you.
Valarie? Valarie, you have to say something. Can you hear me? Oh, she can't hear me. Uh-oh. All righty then. Huh?
Were you near the end?
No, I guess we are at the end. All right. Valarie, don't go anywhere. All right.
Message her in the private chat.
I am.
I love how I'm on multiple shows at the same time.
That's because you're the man.
I try to be. Just doing the Lord's work.
I see that. All right.
Why don't you tell her to leave and come back before we go off air? That way she can plug what she wants before we end the show.
I don't think she's going to plug anything.
Not to plug anything.
I don't think she didn't have stuff like that, sir.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Valarie? All right,
hello.
So we're not gonna make it super awkward and do this for 20 minutes. All right, so Rob, you can take us out, but hold on a second. Thank you for tuning in, Everyday Experts. Thank you, Valarie. I know you can't hear us, but I know probably once we go off being live, it'll work. I believe February 4th is the next episode. James is coming back to talk some about the Joker with me. All right, Mr. Fishbeck, thank you. Joker out.